Hello, hello, and welcome to our third sustainability event. My name is Emily. I'm from the Long Point Biosphere, and I'm excited to be here. Happy to welcome you. Happy to lead this conversation about sustainability for business. We have a great guest speaker that I look forward to introduce to you. So hopefully you are ready for a great hour of information, of conversation, and of opportunities. Let me start with sharing my screen. So welcome. Let's start with doing a land acknowledgement. So taking a moment to acknowledge that we are located on the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, the traditional territory of the Neutral, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee peoples. The Long Point Biosphere Region stands in sovereignty of those treaty lands with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Okay, so we'll start with just a little bit of an introduction about the biosphere and the connection that we have with this event and the information that we will be providing today on this webinar. So the Long Point Biosphere Region is a nonprofit charity that promotes research, monitoring, community outreach, and education, as well as partnerships and projects with the goal to support biodiversity conservation and sustainable communities in Norfolk County. We exchange information and work collaboratively with Canadian Biosphere Reserve Association, as well as other reserves in Canada and around the world. Our main mission at the Biosphere is to collaborate to enhance ecosystem and community well-being while we unite people with nature. So today, the focus is on sustainability and more specifically on sustainability in connection to businesses. So let's talk first about what is sustainability. So if we go back to the roots of sustainability, from the Brundtland Commission in 1987, sustainability is described as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Every time I say it, I love it. I just feel so connected to this definition. And I want to take it a little bit further today because we're going to dive into the business aspect. And I want you to understand what this connection is to sustainability. So in the business environment, we can actually describe it a bit further. And it's really the long-term resource resiliency and efficiency rather, which delivers and enhance economic, environmental, and social outcome. So I think a lot of us, the first thing we think about when we hear sustainability is the environment piece, which is so important, which is a really big mission for the biosphere, but it's also about the people. So sustainability has really three bigger pillars, which include the planet, the people, and the profit. Obviously, the whole goal of making business is to still to make money. This is not to take it away by any means. So we want to focus on more than one aspect. So thinking about business, about being more than just the dollar as a bottom line, but more as the triple layer bottom line, making sure that our people, our customers, our employees are in a good place, are happy and motivated, and thinking about our supply chain, our partnerships, community, and so much more. So pretty deep topic. We will attempt our best today to provide you with information and dive into this as an introduction, but hoping that this is simply the start of a much, much bigger conversation. So why is sustainability so important? What's happening that's leading to this change? I'm sure as I'm hearing sustainability everywhere. And there's a lot of circumstances that are leading us to bring this conversation. Obviously, the biggest thing happening, the biggest challenge of our time is the climate change crisis. So if this is not opening our eyes, I don't know what will. There's also the pressure on the resources that we've been putting on. If we look back in history, we haven't always been kind to our forests and our water and so many other resources that we have, but it is time to transition and be mindful and practice sustainability. There's also the big rise in clean tech and renewable energy. We are in a fast-paced time for innovation. There's a lot happening, new things, new ideas, new technology, and that allows us to really focus on sustainability. There's also a huge need for transparency that's rising over the last few years. I think people in general are not really interested in doing business with all the backroom deals and big events happening where businesses are responding, oh, we just didn't know that was happening. We are, as a society, requesting transparency in so many areas, and in business especially. And that also is leading the change into being more sustainable. The big generational shift as well, especially thinking about the millennial, they're asking for businesses to become more sustainable. They are not willing to support businesses that do not care about the people and environment. And we see as the millennial generation is coming up and moving into leadership positions, things are really shifting. So those are some of the leading causes for change, but there are like so many more. Overall, sustainability is really an opportunity. It's an opportunity to drive innovation, to save costs, to manage our risks better, and really to build brand value, right? I'm sure if you close your eyes right now and take a moment to think about businesses that you want to support, businesses that are at the forefront that you feel good about supporting, likely they have a strong sustainability plan, right? The people that don't care about people and environment are typically not at the top of our list to encourage support from. Overall, sustainability is just really good for business, right? If we start to see business through a sustainability lens, it really helps us to create a better business. A business where our employees are resilient and responsive, where our customers want to encourage us, that they are attracted to us, and just have a good impact on the society in general. People really want to work for businesses and organizations that share their values. And again, thinking about the pool of people looking for employment, a lot coming from millennial and Gen Z, they're getting really picky. They want to work with people that care, and that's the businesses that they go for when they apply for jobs. When we start to really consider business through the sustainability lens, it really helps us to innovate and really to solve environmental and social challenges and create cool products and services that our customers want and feel good about. And that's the exciting part. The thing is that, change is hard. In all the areas of our life, change is hard. It takes a moment to adapt. And when we feel like we're doing it alone, can feel overwhelming at times. A lot of all businesses, all of us have suffered through the last 2 years over the pandemic, 2.5 years. We stopped counting, I think. But so there's been great challenges, and thinking that we have to make more change right now can feel hard, can feel heavy. But the thing is that we don't have to do this alone. We're here. So the Biosphere is really excited to be launching a new program for our businesses here locally. And I'm really excited to tell you more about this today. We have great collaborations and partnership, because that's a big part of working towards sustainability, is to create the networks that we need to feel supported, to learn, to know better, to connect with others. This is moving quite fast. And to stay on top of it, we need the experts around us. We need great collaborations. And that's something that and they're really excited to tell you about. So the Long Point Biosphere is really excited to be launching a new program for Norfolk businesses. The idea is to focus on the different pillars of sustainability that I just talked to you about a little bit, and we're adding the cultural element, which is an additional component, an additional pillar to the environment, society, and economy. So working with a new partner, and this is our guest speaker that's here today that I will introduce shortly, Green Economy. So Green Economy London is our direct partner. Green Economy Canada is the nationwide organization, so a non-for-profit organization that really focuses on supporting businesses. And on the environmental side, they have so many great resources already established. They have expertise in the house. So we decided here at the Biosphere that we would reach out and partner up, collaborate with them to offer businesses in Norfolk some amazing tools to work on their sustainability plan. On the other pillars of sustainability, we will be at the Biosphere along with other partners, also working on the plan with our local businesses. So the whole idea right now is it's not about where you were in the past, what has happened, some of the things that you've had to do to survive over the last 2 years and beyond. It's really a moment to take notice of where you are now in your journey without judgment, just taking the time to assess where the business is in terms of environment, society, economy, culture, and create an action plan with you for you to be able to implement those changes. And some of them are going to be short-term goals, and some of them are going to be longer-term goals. And together we will be able to measure impact, and we will also be able to celebrate the accomplishment of the businesses in our community, and also empower others to follow suit, to join, to participate. So together as a community, we can do better. We can do better for our people, for our planet, and for our local economy. I'm glad to give you a snapshot of the first businesses that are coming into our first cohort of businesses. You probably recognize some of the logos on this slide. It's going to be a journey, and I'm really proud to be part of this great program with these amazing businesses that I already love to support in a personal way. But now I get to collaborate with them to help them to be more sustainable. So we just literally launched this first cohort last week. We had the privilege of walking through those businesses this week to notice where they're at, where are we starting from, what is happening in their business, where are they going to need support, and how we may create a relationship with them to together move towards more sustainable practices. So to tell you more about this, this first piece, which is the environmental part, I am thrilled to welcome Caitlin. I have been working alongside with her over the last couple of months to create this program. So Caitlin is the program coordinator for Green Economy London, which is an organization of support businesses and organizations of all sectors and sizes to set and achieve greenhouse gas reduction and other environmental targets. Caitlin provides members with support, direction, and accountability they need to move through the milestones and make a meaningful impact to the sustainability of the environment and their business. Together, they're proving a more sustainable economy is possible. So Caitlin, I am so glad you're taking the time to join us today, because I really want others to hear from you, from what Green Economy and the little extra announcement that we have there with the Green Economy Hub. So Caitlin, take it away and tell us a little bit more about what this is all about.
Yeah, thank you. That was, yeah, thanks so much for the introduction. start off. That was amazing. My name's Caitlin, like Emily mentioned. I am going to share my screen quickly here, and then I will jump right in. All right, are you able to see that all right? Great. So yeah, just to give a bit of a background about our organization and what we'll be going over today, I'll talk about the sort of the business case for sustainability and why it's important, and then how integrating it into your business is not only good for operations and operational efficiency, but it's also good for the environment and good for the community, and explore why it could be the right choice for your business. And then ultimately, hopefully you'll leave this session feeling a little bit inspired. You'll have some more resources and examples from local businesses that are taking action and demonstrating leadership in the sustainability field. And then hopefully have the tools and resources to build capacity and knowledge within your organization to do the same. So feel free, if anyone has any questions as we move along, feel free to put them in the Q&A, and I think we'll have lots of time after to answer some questions too. So yeah, as mentioned, Green Economy London, I'm the program coordinator for Green Economy London and now Green Economy Norfolk. So we offer businesses a practical and cost-effective approach to setting and achieving reduction targets. So with greenhouse gas reductions and environmental stewardship, we also focus on waste and water targets as well. So these are the 4 target areas that we focus on. Just to give you a bit of a snapshot, we sort of categorize the breakdown of emissions into these sources and help businesses set their targets and implement projects in those areas. So we work with organizations across all sectors to help build capacity and knowledge within the organization. We'll provide greenhouse gas inventory and reporting so you can see a breakdown of your emission sources and energy consumption. And you can use that information to identify reduction opportunities and where your highest emitting sources are and sort of what you want to pinpoint and address. As well, we'll do facility walkthrough and a light energy audit, and then help with science-based target setting, which is aligned with the GHG protocol. We'll do some action planning and project implementation. We support with identifying funding, because a lot of the time can be challenging to navigate because the grant writing process and even just sifting through everything that's out there. And then as well, we'll put on workshops, and we have guides that are available to businesses for things like project inspiration and getting quotes and things like that. So we are a part of the London Environmental Network, which has partnered with Green Economy Canada. So Green Economy Canada partners with community organizations to launch local hubs, and those hubs work with businesses to set and achieve those sustainability targets. So we were really excited to welcome the businesses from Norfolk County this month. And so yeah, like Emily mentioned, Green Economy Norfolk is sort of an expansion of our service area. So we're able to support a lot of businesses that are outside of London directly, which is really exciting. So being able to expand our reach and work with a lot of different communities. So this is just a bit of an overview. There's 10 green economy hubs in Canada, and they align with the some of the sustainable development goals, one being clean water and sanitation, affordable clean energy, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, and then lastly, partnerships to reach those goals. So collectively, there's over 500 organizations in this network, and together they have reduced over 200,000 tons of greenhouse gas emissions, which is very cool. So that's the equivalent of taking off 60,000 cars or 60,000 cars off the road per year. So we call these organizations green economy leaders because they're making a commitment to address sustainability and practice sustainability within their organization. And it also gives businesses an opportunity to use this designation and communicate it with their network, and also communicate the work that they're doing with their stakeholders and the community. So yeah, here's just the slide on Green Economy Norfolk again. So we had Amelie and I and another one of my coworkers, Marianne, who's our director of programs. We did facility walkthroughs this week, which was really exciting. We got to meet everybody, and I fell in love with all the businesses. I think we were laughing because we came home, I think, with something from every business. So that was really, really exciting. And a lot of them already have great sustainability initiatives implemented. For some of the agribusinesses, they've got pollinator and native gardens, some more recent energy efficient or recently upgraded heating and cooling equipment, and then things like retrofitted their fluorescent lights to LED lights. So that was really awesome to see. And we're really excited to continue working with them. And then this is a snapshot of all of our businesses in the entire Green Economy London and Norfolk network. So you can see, so you may recognize some of the businesses. They're from across all sectors. We've got different sizes, whether it's a small nonprofit or larger company. There really is an opportunity for every business to implement sustainability in some way. So we've, with the new cohort model, we've hit the 50 members mark, which is super exciting. So we're now at 53 green economy leaders in our program, and we've been able to set 21 reduction targets with greenhouse gas emissions, water, waste, and environmental stewardship. And then last year alone, we were able to support over 55 sustainability projects, which is super exciting. And whether that was in the form of research, identifying funding, or getting volunteers out to help with the project. So we were able to help in a number of different ways. And then our sponsors and partners are who make a lot of the projects possible. So they've been a huge support to our network. And then, so now that you have a bit of a context of Green Economy Norfolk and how that cohort came about and the Green Economy London program, I just want to dive into the business case for sustainability and how it really can be advantageous for your business. So to get started, like going off of the science there, we know that we need to reduce almost half of our greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 and reach net zero by 2050 to avoid the worst effects of climate change on our economy and community and on the planet. So many communities and cities have declared climate emergencies, and they're making that move towards a net zero future. Canada, for one, has committed to reducing emissions between 40 and 45% by 2030. And they've also made a net zero commitment by 2050. There's been 516 municipalities that have declared a climate emergency. London is one of them. And those targets mean that they're committing to the economy either emitting no greenhouse gas emissions, or they're offsetting the remaining emissions with actions such as carbon capturing technologies or tree planting, things like that. So small and medium-sized businesses have a huge role to play in being able to make a really significant and positive impact on the environment and reduce the effects of climate change. So it's a really good opportunity to be part of the solution and also be leaders, community leaders, and while future-proofing your business. So just to go over some of the benefits, and I just want to emphasize, the obvious one is it's reduces greenhouse gas emissions, and waste and water consumption, which is of course, will help reduce the effects of climate change. You can also make a direct positive contribution to the community that your business operates within. So being able to reduce operational costs a number of ways, by choosing sustainability and prioritizing sustainability, you can implement energy efficiency practices and save money on utility bills, water consumption, for example, or even reducing your waste streams. You can reduce waste disposal services. And then also recruiting and retaining employees is really important, and being able to boost your existing team's morale and engage with those employees. The workplace is increasingly looking for organizations that align with their values, and they want to work for a purpose-driven company. So yeah, that's a really big one as well. And then enhancing your brand image and increasing customer loyalty. You can connect with customers who are increasingly looking for green products and services, and then be able to stay competitive as well as larger businesses and governments start to include sustainability as part of their purchasing criteria. And then it's a really great opportunity to be innovators too, and get creative. The market for green and ethically sustainably produced products has never been higher. And consumers are increasingly looking for, like I mentioned, products and services that align with their values, and they're increasingly considering that when making purchases as well. And it can also increase attract investment too. When companies have strong environmental and social governance practices, studies show that they can outperform over the long term and are lower risk. And then lastly, prioritizing sustainability and climate change mitigation mitigates business risks as well, such as the supply chain, increased regulatory risks, and reputational risks. Supply chain risks, for example, extreme weather events that are caused by climate change can have a high impact on material availability and the supply chain. So there's risk to transportation and supply chain infrastructure. And then there's also increased pressure on companies from governments to move to net zero and have their supply chains align with that. So just moving into how you can implement sustainability within your organization and actually get to embed it into the work culture. There's a number of ways that you can build knowledge and skills to operate with a more sustainable approach. So those in your organization and your customers can be involved and on board as well. So employee engagement is a big one. We support with something called Creating a Green Team, which is a group of staff or volunteers in the organization that are responsible for developing and implementing the sustainability initiatives. And then just, it's a great way to, you can get your staff involved in the program, and it's just a fun activity to do. And then get an understanding of how your business contributes to climate change. So looking at things like scopes 1, 2, and 3 emission sources, and sort of what areas your business is emitting the most. So one thing, for example, that we offer, like I mentioned, is that greenhouse gas inventory report. So it's a breakdown of all the different sources of your organization, so you can identify where to make changes. So for example, we could take a look at employee commuting, which may end up being one of your higher sources of emissions. So sort of identifying areas like that and where you can really put your efforts towards and make a meaningful difference. And then also, while you're identifying or establishing a long-term strategy, and you can complete what we like to call easy wins on the side. So, simple, straightforward projects that are still important. Things like attaching low flow faucets to your sinks, or an adjustable or programmable thermostat, LED lighting retrofits, for example. And then also doing some research and seeing what others are doing. It's a great learning opportunity to connect with peers, find project inspiration, bounce ideas back and forth. And then I also highly suggest saying yes to learning opportunities, which is, it's amazing that you all are here, because I think this is a good learning opportunity too. So things like webinars that pop up, you never know what kind of resources you're going to come across, what kind of connections you'll make. So I think that's a really good thing to keep in mind too. And as well as researching funding opportunities, because funding, of course, is one of the biggest barriers I find with when, you know, businesses want to implement the projects, but there could be a lack of upfront costs, or they aren't sure what funding is available. There is quite a bit out there, so definitely doing some research along the way to see what's available for small and medium-sized businesses will be a huge help. So speaking of funding opportunities, I just wanted to chat about two that we use, or a lot of our members have used quite a bit, and we've had some success with them. So Save on Energy has incentives for energy efficiency related projects. So you can have, or they have a small business program that offers up to $2,000 on eligible lighting equipment. And then there's also $25 for eligible non-lighting equipment. And then they also have a retrofit program, which is for energy efficiency projects, products, and technologies. So ultimately, Save on Energy is a great funding source to look into, which can help save on energy costs, and then also get your energy efficiency projects rolling and have some support with those. And then another exciting one is the EV Charger Incentive Program. So this is funded by Natural Resources Canada in partnership with Green Economy Natural Resources Canada and Green Economy Canada, our nationwide network, has partnered with them to offer it to a lot of the green economy leaders that are in our network. So the program reimburses up to 50% back for installing EV charging stations. And I think it's up to $100,000 per project. So that's really great. And it's eligible for installations at in public places, on the street, at multi-unit residential buildings, workplaces, and then for light duty vehicle fleets, if your business has them. So installing EV chargers, one of the bigger investments, but this project specifically not only can reduce emissions, but it also encourages customers to visit your location. And when you have an EV charger, it actually puts you on a map of a business having an EV charger. So it attracts people who want to, charge their car, and they'll come in and stay longer to look around and purchase goods and services. And and then it'll also help accelerate the transition to low carbon economy and get your business ahead of the curve too. So if anyone's interested in this, happy to send resources on this or Save on Energy. The EV Charger Program 2022 funding is all allocated, but they're opening another round of funding in early 2023. So definitely something to consider. And then here I just have, there's tons of project options that could be implemented. This is just a quick snapshot of some. Feel free to take a picture if you want, or we also have guides on our website. We have, project inspiration guides. So we have an environmental stewardship one, a waste reduction and diversion one, and then a water conservation one, which has a bunch of project ideas and some sort of direction on how to get started. And then I just wanted to give some examples of some of the businesses that we work with that are really prioritizing sustainability. So Reforest London, for example, they just installed LED lights and a 3-bin composter at their building to help, and it's an older building, so it'll help that run more efficiently. So the LED lighting reduces operating costs, and LEDs actually have the potential to reduce electricity consumption and costs by 30%. And their lifespan is 3 to 5 times longer than fluorescent bulbs. So it's also reducing the waste associated with constantly changing the fluorescent bulbs. And then they expanded. They originally had a 1-bin composter that was sort of just had the capacity to handle their staff's organic food waste. And then they built a 3-bin composter out of recycled wood that I think would have that otherwise was going to the landfill. And now they can handle the organic waste of all their visitors as well. So they're closing the loop on for the organic waste stream. And then Hemans is another really great one. They have just been knocking it out of the park in terms of sustainability projects. So they last year on Earth Day announced that they were installing a solar panel. And so the solar panel installation generates 57% of their annual power needs. So that's and it is generating over 128,000 kilowatts each year, which is the equivalent of taking almost 20 cars off the road. And in there, so Hemans is a strawberry farm and a nursery. So in their strawberry fields, they do drip irrigation. So they were able to reduce their water use by 75%. And then they also installed flooding benches in their greenhouse, which recaptures 100% of the water that isn't absorbed by the plants. And then it also, when it reabsorbs it and stores it in this holding tank, it's also preventing or protecting the watershed by preventing runoff from what's not absorbed by the plants. So Hemans is one of our founding partners. That's a picture of Will Heman at our launch in 2019. And then on this Earth Day, they also announced that they're installing 3 EV charging stations. And they're actually going to use the solar power generated from the solar panels to charge the EVs, which is super cool. And then they've also demonstrated awesome environmental stewardship. So they use beneficial plants in their berry fields that attract native predatory insects as a means for naturally controlling pests. And then they also are closing the waste loop with their compost stream because they use compostable containers, napkins, straws, and cups at their cafe. And then they have added a compost waste stream so it doesn't end up in the landfill. So they're, along with Reforest London and all of our other members, they're consistently committing to taking action today for a greener tomorrow, which I think is really important. Yeah, so that just about wraps up my presentation. Feel free to add me on LinkedIn or email me if you think of any questions after the session, and I'd be happy to answer them. And then I guess I'll hand it back over to you, Emily.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. I love the examples that you give at the end. Some of the businesses that I'm definitely familiar with, and I'm pumped to see that we're going to be able to support businesses right here in Norfolk County with implementing some of these changes and in whatever fits with their business now, but setting some long-term goals and setting some targets, because we need to do better. We need to work together to do our part. So I will open up the floor for a few questions, but I do want to start leading a question. So all the participants here, feel free, you can use a chat box to ask questions, or you could also use the raised hand feature if you'd like to speak up. That's also great. When you were talking about the goals that our federal government has set, along with the UN goals of reducing emission, they are pretty big targets. And it's kind of easy for some to feel a little bit cynical about our ability to reach these goals. So thinking about in the concept of a business, what do you think is the biggest challenge to start moving forwards and implementing sustainability practices?
Yeah, I think there's a few, and then I think they can be seen as greater challenges depending on which business. I would say probably capacity within their team and knowledge, and then the cost is a big one too. So when we're thinking about knowledge, what I mean by that is understanding how your business actually contributes to climate change, and so something like doing a greenhouse gas inventory sort of outlines, oh, okay, this source or this practice, this activity that we're doing actually has a huge impact. And then also just being aware of what other businesses are doing as well, and what resources are available can really help with building knowledge. And then capacity too, when I was talking about the green team earlier, if there's no designated staff to sort of take the lead on that, sometimes sustainability can be seen as like a side project, when it should be really ingrained in the day-to-day operations, or even the daily habits of how people are. It could be something as small as how people, their behaviors in the lunchroom, like composting and things like that. So prioritizing it in that way. And then with the costs, it can be, it's a lot if you're doing a bigger project, there's upfront costs and maybe a longer payback period. So, and it can also be expensive if you need to get technical support for energy retrofits and things like that. So I think just researching and trying to connect and be aware of all the funding opportunities can help address that too, because there are a lot out there, but I know it's difficult to navigate sometimes. And the grant writing process can be tedious and long. So yeah, I would say probably costs and knowledge and capacity are probably the biggest ones.
I think we're all a little bit guilty of it, of like, being in the same habits that we've been doing so long, like whether it's on a personal level or on, your business operations. And sometimes just like getting, somebody else to look at it a different perspective, right? Like a team like the Biosphere, like Green Economy Norfolk can really bring a perspective and opening your mind, because you cannot really do better until you know better. And this is specifically why we're really creating this program. So I'm happy you bring this up, because alone it can be a challenge. The funding opportunities are also really exciting. Like I've been like immersed into this world over the last year or so, and there are so many opportunities there. Like our government has set the targets, like they are saying that this is the goal. So there's great things happening. But again, finding those opportunities is actually a great tool that Green Economy Norfolk is providing. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Amy,
did you have
Amy?
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. That was really great. Thank you for sharing that. I have a couple of questions. I guess firstly, like I don't own my own business anymore. So how do I encourage other businesses to get started? What does that startup look like when they connect with you? Is there a cost associated with you coming and starting? What does that look like?
So
yes.
Now, sorry, I'll start this.
Yeah, you start.
Sorry. Just for the Biosphere itself, we actually were really privileged to get amazing funding from the Ontario Trillium Foundation to kickstart this program. So right now we have support to help those businesses, the first at least couple cohorts, free of charge. So when they come on board with the Biosphere, they are also getting a membership through Green Economy Norfolk. So there's zero upfront cost to participate. Obviously, the first few businesses, we've had conversation about sustainability, and it's like, what an opportunity. So it hasn't been difficult to onboard the first few businesses. We're looking for more funding. We already have application out there. We want this to be ongoing. We are really committed to supporting local businesses with this. And as much as we can, we certainly, we're a not-for-profit organization, so we're in a good position to be able to support others. So events like this is to get the word out. So Amy, you're obviously well connected in this community. So they would reach out to me first to get the introduction, and there's more coming on our website and everything else. And then automatically, I guess, coming through us with the Green Economy Network, which, like Caitlin, you can jump on this, what a great opportunity to see inspiration and models from, outside of Norfolk that are a little bit ahead of us. I have to say, there's so many cool projects happening there that I cannot wait to you know, take on it and bring it to our region. But like, feel free to add something to this, Caitlin, if you want to jump in.
Yeah, no, you did a great job. You pretty much covered it all.
Pretty enthused about this.
Yeah. And I think a nice thing too with the network is there are so many resources as well. And part of the support that we offer is we want to celebrate the businesses that are taking action, and we want to share their stories. So, you know, whether it's in our newsletter or our social media or our blog posts, those are all kind of like boosting and celebrating our members, because we do think it's something to be shared, and we want to do the storytelling aspect of it as well. So yeah, I think you pretty much covered it, but yeah, just wanted to add that little aspect of it too, because there's lots of inspiration out there. Yeah, does that answer your question, Amy?
Yeah, that's great. And then I also wondered if you have, I don't know if it's for public consumption or if it's maybe for a business once they sign on, but do you have like studies that produce an ROI in like the agriculture sector for signing on? You've talked about like it covers 75% of the energy, or 100% of that water is captured, but or in the municipal sector, like, do you have return on investment stats for various different sectors with like a beginning base level program or something quite advanced that they could look forward to?
Yeah, so we have member specific case studies that we've done that for. And then we also have in the sustainability report that we produce for members, this is after the facility walkthrough and the sort of light overview of the energy audit. We'll sort of do return on investment scenarios and help them calculate, okay, if you were to implement this project, here's the cost, here's the payback period. So we do that on the back end, yeah, when we make the sustainability report for them and sort of do different project scenarios.
Okay, that's great. My only other comment would be that I wonder, like, we can maybe take it offline, but Amelie, I think if it might be a bit of repetitive for you, but I think it'd be really helpful if you came and presented a condensed version to the tourism committee, to the energy conservation committee, to the ag advisory committee, and probably others, because there's lots of business owners that make up that, but then it's also just kind of networking out to the ag sector. And maybe it's a bit of a pipe dream, but how cool would this be if we could pick one Norfolk County building and sign that on as one of the businesses? And it would probably help my business case if we were one of the free ones so that I could sell it to people. But if you could take one facility, is it just an arena or is it an office?
Actually, we started this program with the museum. So we would love to get one of the museum on board with this, because they're a part of our Amazing Places program. We have to say a little bit of red tape. Maybe you can help me with this, Amy. But yeah, like, absolutely. And we want, like, we need leaders right now to lead this movement, right? To talk about it, to share their wins, to prove the business case, which is on some people's mind feels unattainable, but they have great example through the Green Economy Hub. So we're connected now and we can share those wins. We are also really excited to share the wins that are going to happen in Norfolk. As I was doing the walkthrough with the Green Economy team this week, like, we could already like identify some small, easy win that were going to be like low cost. And that was so exciting to see. And the enthusiasm from the participants so far, asking great questions, and like the deep feeling of wanting to do better and being part of something that's going to facilitate that is super exciting. So, and I love that, you know, with our partnership with Green Economy, there's obviously more capacity. It's the Long Point Biosphere, but we have an amazing partner into this, which create, you know, already has more tool, more resources, more businesses. So it can only grow and inspire our region to step to the plate and do better. I think Paul has a question.
Yes, Caitlin and Emily. One thing I noticed in your focus. It's focused on the operations of how businesses do their business. Do you focus at all on the products that the businesses produce? I'm thinking specifically about the one product that probably produces the most emissions in Norfolk County, and that's homes, in the home building industry. If in 30 years we're supposed to be carbon neutral, if we keep building homes the way we build them today, we will never be carbon neutral in Norfolk or anywhere else. Not too long ago, visited Norway, which is quite a bit north of us. They use about 30% the energy that we do per capita to run their homes. When they look at the homes that we build, you know, everybody has to have the 5,000 square foot house with the huge kitchen and the master bedroom with the ensuite that's big enough to live in by itself. In 30 years, that all has to be heated and cooled and insulated. And in those countries, they've just said, no. We also have to build homes that are much more climate resilient. We know that even if we stop increasing the carbon levels in the atmosphere, the carbon levels are never going to come back down again. In our generation, your grandchildren's generation, they're stuck there and the weather's stuck there. So why aren't we building homes that are much more weather resistant? It's much more expensive. But all of those frames, timber frames, need to be strapped together with steel straps. All the roofs have to be built with heavy steel roof. All the foundations have to be built to be waterproof from flooding. That's quite expensive. It's a lot cheaper if you do it in a 3,000 square foot house than a 5,000 square foot house. The houses have to be super insulated. The heating should probably include geothermal or just thermal. You know, if you're going to put in a new air conditioner, put in one that sucks in heat in the winter as well as throwing heat out in the summer. That's all expensive. Instead of building the 5,000 square foot house, build the 3,000 square foot house that starts to become carbon neutral. And you need to start building them now.
Yesterday,
because
probably.
in 30 years from now, and then all the new houses are built that way.
Yeah.
Then between now and 30 years, you can worry about retrofitting all the other older houses. And Norfolk has a lot of older houses, which are probably just leaking heat out like crazy. So they need to be all retrofitted.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that looking at the biggest business in Norfolk after agriculture, the housing business, that those people need to rethink how they build houses. And probably the county council needs to be a big part of that in their zoning plans. So there's
so
a big
many
project
great
for you.
points there. Like this is a big conversation, and you are so right. I really think to me it comes from a societal change, and that's going to take a little bit of time, but it comes from customer being more aware, more educated, demanding better, and also looking at, like you give example of European countries that are much ahead of us, in other provinces that are actually ahead of us. So it's not going to happen certainly overnight, but if we know better, we can demand more from, you know, our local government and things like that. A long road ahead, but we need to start working on it, right?
If you could find a local builder who would be willing to take on that sustainability attitude in the homes that they build, and have them sell it, there are going to be people out there who will look for that house.
Absolutely. Yeah. So more and more as we see the younger generation are really keen. Caitlin, can I give you a moment maybe to just say something about the home program that through the environmental network as well?
Sorry, it just cut out. Can you?
Yeah,
can
like
you
you also have a home, like a retrofit home piece that
yeah
into as well.
I was just going to add that. I just added it in the chat, but the London Environmental Network, which is our, like I mentioned, we're one of their programs. They also have a greener homes program. So they're working with, and this one just launched this year, so it's not it's still fairly new, but they're working with homeowners and the homeowner side of it and they've got funding, identifying funding opportunities and that education piece as well, educating people how their homes can be more sustainable. And then, yeah, there's also I'm not sure how far this builder's reaches, but they're based in St. Thomas. Doug Terry Homes does a lot of, like they have a net zero model home that our team did a tour of, which was pretty cool. And there's another company called Graph and Stone that just joined as a member, and they actually make paint that absorbs CO2, which is super cool. So 3 cans of paint absorb as much as 1 adult tree. So we're really excited to be having Graph and Stone on board. I think we're going to be, trying to, that's a very recent member too. So yeah, we've definitely, I agree with you 100%. It's important, and it's Greener Homes London is definitely trying to address that.
And get some more plug-in stations from my electric car in Norfolk County, please.
Yeah, well, we were looking at the EV map when we were doing the walkthroughs yesterday, and yeah, there was barely any, I think, right, Emily?
It was very sparse, but excitingly, we have 5 businesses in our first cohort, and there was at least 3 businesses that actually showed a really big interest in applying for funding and see if it's an option.
Yeah, because they've had customers ask for it. So
yeah.
Fortunately, I use Scotiabank because they're
and that's the one, they have one, right?
Oh yeah. Well,
yeah.
As soon as I saw they had that, I thought, okay, I'm ready to buy my car.
Yeah.
Awesome.
2 outside the Colburn Street, Norfolk County building. And I believe if they're not there already, there's some coming to Delhi.
Yes, there's some coming to Delhi.
Basically the library.
We're moving forward. It's exciting. We're getting close on time here, so I don't want to take too much more, but I really want to say a big thank you for attending, for listening. This is the beginning of our conversation, and we're not going to shut up about it. We're going to be loud, and so get ready for it. And I hope that you're joining on board. We are already looking to build our next cohort. So if you are a business that's possibly interested, please reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. I would love to create a relationship with you and help you move this forward. Together, we can do better. And I'm pumped. So if you guys are ready, I want to take a moment to just thank some of our sponsor, Fanshawe College, and also the Ontario Trillium Foundation, who gave us a wonderful grant to get this on the road. Please keep connecting with us. We are sharing a lot of information. If you're not necessarily ready to jump in yet, learn open. There's lots of free events. There's lots happening. There's information. Start there, and let's have more conversations moving forward. I thank you for your time, for attending, and I look forward to speaking with all of you very soon.
That was excellent. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.